Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name's Alex and you are watching BC Adventure. Today we're on part 3 of deploying the Microsoft Exchange Server 2016 version on the Unraid virtual machine running Windows Server 2016 standard. Now this is a fully activated operating system and Exchange server, which cost a pretty penny for the Exchange server license. Surprisingly, the Windows Server licenses are fairly affordable. I think I paid around like 30 Canadian dollars for the standard license and about $10 for the Essentials license. So today we're going to be deploying this Exchange server to the internet. So we're going to be attaching a fully qualified domain name to it that's external. We're going to be editing the DNS records in Active Directory. We're going to be setting an actual domain name to attach to the Exchange mailboxes. And we're going to be working with NGINX Proxy Manager running on my Unraid machine. So the goal for today is getting everything deployed. However, as we've seen in the last two videos deploying the Exchange server, that problems often arise. So I'm hoping that this is a lot smoother than the last two, but you know, who knows? You know, problems tend to follow me around. So yeah, but it should be a fairly painless video this time. I know the last video was pretty long. It was just under an hour long. I removed a bunch of like long pauses of, you know, like the installation being done. So hopefully this is a lot smoother of a video, and I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching me suffer through all of this. And like I was saying in the last video, don't use this as a guide to getting it installed. Use it as an example of what not to do during your installation. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so the first thing we need to do is set our DNS record, and I did jump ahead and do that already, but I will show you what I did. So in my forward lookup zones here, what I did was I right-clicked and selected New Zone, and went next, selected Primary Zone, next to all DNS servers running, next, and here is where I put in my subdomain. So in this case, it was, I put in my my actual domain name. So that was arcserver.ca. And then I clicked next, and that added a new forward lookup zone. And then from there, I created a new record where I put in mail as my subdomain, which then appended mail.arcserver.ca. And then I pointed it to my Exchange server, which is EX01. And then from there, I selected OK or next, and then it added this CNAME or this A record, CNAME pointing to my EX01 server running on my Arc local domain. So next, what we have to do is close out of our this virtual machine here. And let me bring up my Exchange server. And here is where we need to add in that subdomain. So to do that, we go down here to Servers and Edit. Oh, no, that ain't right. Virtual Directories, that's the one. And then we're going to select off of there. We're going to hit the wrench icon here. And this is where we add our external domain. So in this case, it is mail.arcserver.ca. We're going to add, OK, and save. All right, that has completed successfully. So we'll close. Now, if we click down here on OWA, we'll see that we have an external URL of https mail.arcserver.ca /OWA. If we do auto discover, that has not been set up yet. ECP, this is the management URL, which I'm going to see if I can lock that down and just make it accessible locally. But yeah, that's all you need to do in order to get your subdomain externally set up within your Exchange Admin Center. So there's still quite a few steps left, like getting our certificates installed. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. So let's jump into that. So I'm back here on the DNS server, and we're actually going to add some additional records. So we're going to right click and add a new host for an A record. And the host is going to be mail, and the IP address is going to be 192.168.1.49. And we're going to go next. Oh, source record cannot be created. Node CNAME DNS. Node is a CNAME DNS record. Okay. So let me just check. Do I need to delete my CNAME record? So I was following another video because, you know, I'm not perfect at this stuff. And their way of doing it was using CNAME, but we're actually going to delete this record. And we're going to use an A record instead. So for this, we're going to use mail. And the IP address is 192.168.1.49. And we're going to add the host. Now we need to do another A record for auto discovery. And we're going to point that at the same IP address. Okay. Now, next, let's see, okay. So mail, auto discover. Okay. Okay, so next we need to jump back to our Exchange server, and we need to set our mail flow options. So for that, we need to go to mail flow and then accepted domains. And we need to add in, so we're going to call this ArcMail. And the accepted domain is arcserver.ca. And we're selecting authoritative, and we're going to click save. And now we've added this domain to our Exchange server here. The next thing we need to do is set up our send connectors. So for that, we need to do send connectors. And here we're going to add. And we need to configure, let's see here. So configure the name. So this is custom. To send mail to other non-Exchange servers. To send internet mail. Okay, let me just double check here which one I'm selecting. Okay, so we're going to select internet. And name, we're just going to call this ArcMail send. And next, we're selecting an MX record. And for routing, we need to add in, oh, okay. Let me just double check this one too. Okay, from what I read, we just leave this as is and go next. And then here we need to put in our domain. So in this case, it is going to be arcserver.ca. And that's for SMTP. We're going to go next. And what is this? Send connector sends mail from a list of servers. So we select our server and finish. Okay. Maximum send message size. MX record. Scoping. Okay. I'm just going to confirm that this is all correct. All right, so now we are moving over to our domain configuration. So I'm going to head over to DNS here. And for this, I'm going to set a new A record, and I'm going to use mail. And our answer is going to be my IP address. TTL, I'm going to leave it 600, and I don't need to do anything for notes. Okay, so we're going to click add. Now, next we need to set a MX record. And for this, the host is @ the value is going to be mail.arcserver.ca. And for the priority, we're going to set that at 10 and add that. Now, next we need to do a CNAME. Our host is going to be AutoDiscover, and our value is going to be mail.arcserver.ca. And yeah, that's all we need to do for that. So we will close out of this now, and let's double check what we have. So we've got our CNAME, we've got our second CNAME for AutoDiscover, and we've got our MX record for arc.ca, which we've got all our values here. Now I'm just going to take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to confirm that this is correct. Okay, so we need to get rid of this CNAME wildcard. So what we're going to do is just delete that. We can always add it back if we need to. I do have a screenshot of all this. And okay, that's deleted. Yeah, so a mail going to the IP address. MX is going to the mail.arcserver.ca, and CNAME is going to the AutoDiscover. Okay, so now we need to configure our NGINX proxy manager on my Unraid server. So I'm going to get logged in here. So we're logged in, and we're now going to create a new proxy host. And the domain is going to be mail.arcserver.ca. The scheme is going to be HTTPS, and then we need to put in our forward IP. And the port we're going to forward is 443. And now we need to go over to SSL. We're going to request a new certificate. We need to force SSL and set HTTP2 support. Okay, so we're not going to enable that unless we absolutely need to. So I'm going to click Save. We are going to need to do a port 25 forward. So this is doing its thing here. All right, so we're going to go to Hosts and New Stream. And the incoming port is 25. The forward host is 192.168.1.49. And the forward port is 25. And that looks like all we need to do. Okay, so we've got our mail forwarder here. And if we go to, where are we here? If we go to our hosts and then streams, we've got port 25 here. Now, this is the moment of truth. Is it going to work? Let's try this out. Mail.arcserver.ca. And yes, this actually worked, and I am genuinely happy this actually worked. This has given me nothing but problems for, the last two videos, and I am genuinely blown away that this actually worked, as you can probably tell. This is this is okay. So, anyways, okay. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble containing my genuine joy here because I've had so much trouble with everything. I am genuinely happy in this moment. So, okay, so we're gonna close out of that. This is okay. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna keep NGINX open here. I'm gonna close out of Unraid. I'll keep Pork Bun and our proxy manager open. Now let's move on to the next steps. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to import the certificate from NGINX. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to SSLs, and we've got mail here. Now let's download this certificate, and we are going to yeah, okay, so we need to go back to our Exchange server. We need to go over, so we need to go to servers, certificates, and we need to import the certificate. Let me just double check on this. Okay, so what we have to do here is download our certificate from SSLs. And then we need to, here, actually, let me bring up the folder so you know how it looks. So this is how it looks. It comes in a zip file, and then you have to extract it. And then you have these 4 files here that you'll need to actually convert so that it's usable with Exchange. So to do that, we're going to go over to a website called SSL Converter. And this is the URL here. It's sslshopper.com/ssl-converter.html. And for this, we need to convert it to a PFX file. So for this, we need to choose our certificate. So in this case, we're going to choose, and I've uploaded it to my Unraid server. So we'll head over to Deathstar, and we will go to software, and it should be in certs. And we need to add the fullchain.pem file, and we're converting that to PFX. The private key, let's see here. Private key is privkey1. And the chain is chain.1. And let's see. Okay, yeah, that's looks like all we need. And then we're gonna have to set a password for it. Oh, I'm just gonna do one that I know I can't screw up on the keyboard. And we're going to convert certificate. All right, so that went ahead and downloaded fullchain1.pfx. Now, I am going to have to, look at all my wonderful screenshots. I'm going to have to open up Deathstar here, go to my software tab, my certs tab, and I am just going to drag this PFX file into there. And then now we need to open up our Exchange server. And I am going to have to go into my Unraid server. No, I closed the wrong window. Or minimized it, my bad. So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to open up File Explorer. And I believe I have, oh no, I guess I don't. So I'm going to get into my Deathstar server. Go into Software, Certs, and then we've got our PFX file here. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to put it into my C drive just to make it nice and easy. Okay, so let's bring up our Exchange Admin Center. All right, I figured out where I went wrong here. We're not using the add. We're going over here to the 3 dots, and we are importing Exchange Certificate. And then here, I'm just going to paste in where I have it. And then our password is what we set on the SSL Shopper website. We're going to go ahead and click Next. Specify the servers you want to install the certificate. So we're using EX01, and we're going to click Finish. A special RPC error occurs on the server EX01. Source data cannot be imported or the wrong password was specified. Now, that shouldn't be. Okay, so I screwed up. The certificate is not the full chain. It is the cert1.pem file. The private key is privkey1.pem, and the chain certificate is chain1.pem. So we set a EasyPFX password. We're going to convert, and it's gone ahead and downloaded that. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that over to the server and then head back to Exchange. Okay, so I've got the certificate file on the Unraid server, and oh, I have not copied it over, I don't believe. Did I? No, I have not. So we will head back over to Death Star. Okay, we'll close out of that. So now this is a valid path. Go ahead and click Next. Signing it to ex01.arc.local. Okay, and it still says the password is not valid. Okay, so after all that nonsense, it appears that the certificate is for the internal access, which we don't really care about. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. We're going to close out of this. We're going to cancel that. I did try importing it through the certificate management console, but we're going to cancel out of that. And we're going to cancel this, and we're going to go back over to recipients, and we're going to create a new mailbox. Now, let's see, can I update this here? So I'm going to have to create a new user, or maybe we can just edit this here. So no, arc.local is still coming up. So we need an external, we need to make this external somehow. So I'm just going to go ahead and screenshot this and try and figure this part out now. Okay, so to get this working, we have to head over to Mailflow, email address policies, and then we're going to add. Actually, no, that's wrong. We need to edit. And then here we need to go to email address format, and we need to add. And here we're going to select our arcserver.ca as the accepted domain. And here we're going to, I'm just going to leave this as alias and make this format the reply email address. After you save, the status in the details pane shows not applied. Click apply to update the policy. So we're going to click apply. And yes. Okay, default policy was applied. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our recipients. I'm going to edit this email address. And I still have arc.local in there. What the hell? Okay, so it looks like when I added the email flow in, it automatically updated the email addresses for each mailbox, but it does not show up in this drop-down tab. So let's see. We're going to go to mail.arcserver.ca. I'm going to log in with arc/Alex password. Okay. Now I am going to send an email from my phone over to alex@arcserver.ca, subject test, and this is a test message. Moment of truth. So it did send. Let's see if it comes through. Can we refresh this somehow? Let's give it a refresh. Okay, nothing there. All right, let's try sending a message. So okay, it's sitting in the drafts. Your message will be sent, but we're not quite ready.
Emotional damage.
So we need to troubleshoot this now. Okay, looks like we need to create another send connector. So we're going to go over to Mailflow here and send connectors. And we need to create a new send connector. The name, we're going to call it Internet Send. For internet, next. Smart host, I don't know what that is, none. MX record. Next, address space. Looks like we put in asterisk. Save. Okay, so the ArcMail send one that we created earlier was for local. Now this is for internet. So we select internet. We're going to call it internet send. I'm going to go next. We're not going to do anything with this. We added this this field here. So SMTP, fully qualified domain name, is the star. And then next, we added our server from the plus here. And we're clicking finish. And now we are deleting ArcMail send. Okay, now we need to add an SPF record to pork bun. So let me bring that back up here. Go back to pork bun. We need to add DNS. And we need to set a TXT record. The host is going to be the @ symbol, and the answer is going to be v equals SPF1 MX -all, and the TTL is going to be 600. I'm going to click add, and we can exit out of this. And this may take a couple seconds to propagate. So let's go over to MX Toolbox, arcserver.ca. I hate how it does that. I don't want a space in there. MX lookup. So I don't see an SPF. Do I need to set SPF? No. Oh, there we go. SPF. Okay, SPF record published. Well, that propagated pretty fast. Okay, so those records are all correct. Now the next thing we need to do is run services. Just gonna put in services. No, okay, that didn't work. So run services.msc, and Microsoft Exchange Transport is what we're looking for. Scroll down. Transport. And we need to right click and restart. And we need to do the same for Microsoft Exchange front-end transport. Front-end transport. So we need to restart that as well. Now, we need to go back to Arc server and give this a refresh. And we see something went wrong. So we'll go back to inbox, new, and we will try sending another message. Keeps moving it into drafts. Come back in a couple of minutes. Okay, more troubleshooting. I apologize for all the stop and go here, but I want to get this right, and I want to have a good working case here for all of you so that you can feel a little bit confident going into this in the future. Okay, so we're back 48 hours later, and you would not believe the nightmare that it was to get everything up and running properly. So right off the bat, I had to ditch using the SSL certificate provided by NGINX Proxy Manager. It's not exported in the correct format, meaning that the algorithm used is not compatible with the Microsoft Certificate Store. And for some weird reason, my internet service provider allows port 25 coming in, but it does not allow it going out. And when I contacted them about it, they stated that it was to prevent spam and that they would not or could not remove that restriction from our internet plan. We would have to upgrade to something substantially more expensive, which I'm just not willing to do for a home lab server. So what I needed to do to circumvent that is use what's called a send connector. And to do that, I used a service called Mailgun. And what I ended up doing was going on the free tier. This gives 3,000 emails per month, 1 day of log retention, and 24/7 ticket support. Now, this doesn't cost anything. This is free. It only starts charging you if you go over the 3,000 emails per month, which is that's just not going to happen for a home lab setting. So had to get a send connector configured, and how I did that was going into send connectors here, and I had to add in the SMTP and use route mail through Smout hosts. And yeah, it was actually pretty easy to get set up. However, getting the server to recognize that there was a send connector was another issue. So on the SSL certificate side, I spent at least 4 hours trying to troubleshoot why it would not import into Exchange. And the send connector issue, it took me a solid hour and a half, 2 hours to figure out that port 25 was blocked, because when I was doing a port check, it was showing that it was coming in. However, I failed to check if it was blocked going out, and that's where I ran into issues. Now, the next issue that I had was getting the iOS app to work. So with the iOS app, the iOS Outlook app, I should say, it uses the Microsoft 365 relay servers in order to connect to my Exchange server, and that's not anything you can turn off. So what was happening was Autodiscover wasn't properly publishing. What I had to do was go back into my DNS records on Porkbun, and I'll just bring that up for you now. And I had to add a special, I believe it's an SRV record. Let me just confirm here. And I'll bring this up here. So if we scroll down here, I had to add in an SRV record. I did have to ditch the, what was it called? The SPF record that I had previously, because I need to use the Mailgun service. And so I had to set that stuff up on my my domain here to properly work. But yeah, so Auto-discover was a huge issue. I was fighting it for hours last night. I think it was up till about 12:30 in the morning trying to get that working. And what was stopping me from believing it was working was that Microsoft has a Auto-discover test tool that you can use. So I input my server details, the account username and password to log into the server, and Microsoft Auto-discover test kept saying it was failing. Now, I also ran the tests on the Exchange management shell, which also stated it was failing as well. So what ended up happening was I just kind of ignored all that stuff, and then I downloaded the Outlook iOS app, and sure enough, it worked. And then I dug further deep into why the Auto-discover test was failing, and that's because it's expecting a very specific XML file to be delivered to it. However, the test tool wasn't picking up on that XML. However, the Outlook iOS app did. So that ended up working, like effortlessly. There was no issue getting the app connected. So I probably spent way more time than I should have trying to get something to work that already worked. The only thing I needed to do was add in that SRV record on my domain, and it now recognized that it needs to forward through port 443 and it has access. So big mistake on my part, not just trying to see if it worked. Now, the next thing is the SSLs. It would not work. It absolutely would not work with the SSL provided by NGINX Proxy Manager. So to fix that, what I ended up doing was going over to freeSSL.com, or sorry, zeroSSL.com, and I created myself a SSL certificate here, and I set it for the Exchange parameters on how they want that PFX file imported. And as soon as I did that, everything worked. Now, the SSL is required for the Auto-discover to work. So in order to connect with the Exchange or the Outlook iOS app or Android app, you have to have a valid SSL. So yeah, what I ended up doing was getting that. Let's go down to servers here, certificates. So this here is the one that I imported, and I was able to do that through the three dots here and import Exchange certificate. Now, theoretically, I should be able to renew the certificate just by clicking renew. However, if it doesn't work, I will need to log into my free SSL or zero SSL account and renew the certificate, download it, and then upload it again to Exchange, and then bind it all over again. However, like everything is telling me that the renew certificate should work through the Exchange admin dashboard. So, does everything work now? Can I send and receive email? Yes. And it was the send connector that was tripping me up. It was the accepted domain that was tripping me up. And it was the SSL that was tripping me up. So, like I said, I spent the last 48 hours getting everything configured the way that it needs to be done. And because it took so long, I didn't bother recording it because I was going through a lot of loops and jumping through a bunch of hoops that would just confuse even a seasoned network technician. So, bottom line is, it is working, and let me show you. So I sent this to myself from my iPhone, and so thanks for watching me struggle with Exchange. Now let's reply to this. So we're going to send that. And let me just open up my mail. And yeah, there we go. Where'd we go? Where is it? It's not showing up on the Of course, when I go to demonstrate that it actually works, it is not working. Huh. Okay, let's send a new message here. We'll send it to my iCloud account. Send. Oh, did it maybe put it in junk? No, didn't put it in junk. Okay, so I don't know why it didn't send to my BC Adventure email, but let me just bring this up. Oh, okay, hold on. I have to minimize this. Now I can bring this up. Okay, so if we drop this down here, we can see it came from alex@arcserver.ca. So for good measure, let's reply to this message here. Hello. And we'll send that. Now, this should pop up here any second. And there we go. So this is fully working. No issues whatsoever. So we can see here that it was received from EXO1. That's my Exchange server. Has valid TLS. And we can see here it came from iCloud. It checked the DKIM. And it is, well, it's working. You know, at the end of the day, this is a Exchange server that is up and running. Probably not done the way that a Exchange technician or administrator would do it. However, I managed to do it, and I am quite proud of myself. I now have a blueprint for how to do things properly moving forward, so that I am at least able to troubleshoot any issues that arise. At the end of the day, would I recommend this to someone to do for themselves? Probably not. If you are a novice user, this is not something that I would recommend you get into. It was extremely time consuming and frustrating, and I did have to walk away twice in order to reset my brain, in order to come at it with a fresh mind and actually succeed in it. If you like a good challenge and you don't mind all the troubleshooting that's involved with deploying an Exchange server for the first time, then by all means, go for it. There's probably going to be 1,000 better tutorials out there explaining very eloquently how to do this. I watched 2 5-minute videos from 10 years ago that were posted, or 9 years ago that was posted, to get as far as I did, when in reality I should have actually, you know, read a manual or watched a couple seasoned technicians demonstrate it on YouTube before I jumped into it. But that's not how I roll. I don't read anything for the most part. I just go right into it head first. And I did use, I was using ChatGPT at first, and then I switched over to Microsoft Copilot because they have all their Exchange documentation uploaded into their AI. So Copilot did get me a lot further along than ChatGPT did. However, ChatGPT got me to the point where I was able to get the server up and running. So, however, not be able to send or receive email. It was a play on both GPT services. However, after using Copilot, I quickly realized that Copilot is the way to go for anything Microsoft troubleshooting wise that I need to do. So lesson learned on that. I will be moving forward with that going ahead. And what did I do after getting all this done? The first thing I did was backed up both servers entirely. Active Directory on Arc servers, fully functional. I'm going to start adding computers to it now. And then Exchange server is fully functional, able to send and receive emails and issue mailboxes. So backed that up entirely as well. So at the end of the day, everything is working. It's accessible inside and outside of the home. It's usable through the Outlook app on Windows and Mac, and it's accessible via the Outlook and Android applications for phones. So I am genuinely happy that I was able to punch through all the issues that arose. And if you've been following this series of videos I've done on Exchange and stuck with me through the whole thing, I sincerely thank you. This was a very painstaking process that I went through. And like I've always told you guys, I always show my errors, you know, because it's how we learn moving forward. And it reinforces that if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. There are ways to punch through it and move forward. So don't be discouraged if you make a mistake. Don't be discouraged if things don't work the first time. It's all a part of the learning process, and you'll be better in the end because of the mistakes you make. So yeah, I'm going to end the video here because the first one was like half hour. Second one was 45 minutes to an hour. And this one's probably going to be another 45 minutes to an hour. But you know, some of the longest videos I think I've done. However, I'm very pleased that I was able to get it completed. So, what did that email just come through now? No, that's a Bath & Body Works email. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I had a lot of fun making it despite all the frustrations that came with completing this task. However, I am extremely happy that I got it done. So if you want to see more Windows Server content, please let me know down in the comments. If you want a list of instructions on how I got everything up and running, again, let me know down in the comments, but be specific on what you want. Don't just say yes. I won't know what you're talking about. So, and if you have any video suggestions, please head over to the website bcadventure2015.ca, hit the contact button up top, and make a video suggestion. I would love to do other videos, surrounding servers and all that. So please let me know. Let me know what you want to see or do, and I'd be happy to get that put together for you. So I'm going to end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are amazing. Thank you for sticking with me through this whole endeavor and through all my pain and struggles that you got to witness. And one very joyous occasion earlier in the video. I am very grateful for the community here. So many of you are starting to join the Discord server and, make yourself present and known, which I'm grateful for. I do admittedly need to do better on being in the Discord server, but it is nice to see the community interacting with one another. So, thank you for making that a positive place to be. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to end with tech isn't perfect and neither am I. Catch you in the next one.